For the first time in ages, I wake up and don't hate it. I guess I found some peace. Through the day to the evening, without shouting and screaming, something new to me. Alone without being lonely, getting back to the old me. It's kinda nice to feel free. I thought this was over, thought I could control it. But if I speak the truth, I ain't over you. I was feeling sober until you came up now. I don't know what to do. I ain't over you. I ain't over. I ain't over. No matter what I do, I ain't over you. Give it time, things will settle. Just a face till it's better, yeah. Heard it all before. Even though we were toxic, feels the most when you've lost it. That's just how it goes. By myself feeling lonely, can't get back to the old me. I'm stuck in way too deep. I thought this was over, thought I could control it. But if I speak the truth, I ain't over you. I was feeling sober until you came up now. I don't know what to do. I ain't over you. I ain't over. I ain't over. No matter what I do, I ain't over you. I ain't over. I ain't over. No matter what I do, I ain't over you. Ain't over you. I ain't over you. And no matter what I do, I ain't over you.
Lay awake until the morning in an ocean so deep. Got a feeling like I'm dauntless whenever you're next to me. 'Cause I've climbed higher than I could dream of. Now using wires, I know I'm falling free. You set me off into emotion where I can just be me. You give a little, but you're giving me just what I need. No time for riddles, you're in the middle of my self-release. You have unchained me. You have you have unchained me. You have When all my troubles seem to haunt me, you uncover the truth. 'Cause nothing really matters when you see it from a distance, yeah. 'Cause I'm up higher than planes could take me. I have acquired everything I need.
All right. So good. I figured let's just get this party started. I'm letting people in. We're actually got people coming into Zoom. We got people on all the platforms we're broadcasting live. Make sure if you can hear me, see me, and all that stuff, let me know in the chat. So I got it. See some familiar faces. All was good. This is going to be a fun one. Part of today is I'm going to talk with some special friends and everything to have a conversation. I want to also be able to answer questions as we go. But the first thing I wanted to speak to before we get into some of the stuff is this idea of where I think we are from an economic standpoint, from a market standpoint, from a society standpoint, and why this is that earning more doesn't solve the problem. And I think that we have a lot of uncertainty around the economy, around what's going to happen with tariffs, what's happening in the world. And that uncertainty, if we start to look at some of the data and the statistics, you start to see, unfortunately, there seems to be a separation happening, where the people that have accumulated assets and have built a machine are okay, and it doesn't seem to be affecting them tremendously. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't affect them, but then there's a group that they're feeling the pinch of higher costs, more uncertainty around the job market. The idea, okay, in the U.S., is the government shutting down today? What is that going to do? All those things that come into play, where what happens is that if we are not in motion, if we are not moving towards and forwards towards a place where we can find our own certainty, where we can create our own certainty, where we can create our own future, we find that divide starts to grow. And that's the thing that has me a little concerned when people say, well, what's your thoughts about the economy? My thoughts is I don't want to see a separation that's greater than we are today. And if we're not careful, it happens. Now, is it because of money? Well, some could say it's because of money. I think that before the money, it's because of literacy, financial literacy, more specifically, that we aren't having the conversations, we're not having the dialogue, and we don't feel safe to have the conversations or the dialogue around what is money, what does it mean, what does it mean to have money, to want money, to build wealth. It's why I did my channel. It's why I wrote my book. It's why I do what I do. I want to have sane, real conversations around this thing called money, but not for the sake of money, but more for the sake of life, because money is really only a paintbrush to paint the masterpiece called your life. And so to the extent that it is the thing that funds this masterpiece called life, then we need it, just like we need oxygen. But that doesn't make it bad or you bad when we start to put a plan in place to go after it. Now, whether that happens to be something like the Money Machine Blueprint or something else, the fact is, I just want to make sure that we get your train on the tracks, moving towards the direction you want to move, because that's the thing that will keep you from getting caught in that separation. Because, as I said yesterday, when this is happening, you have three ways to respond, flee, freeze, or fight. And I think it's time to fight. I think it's time to, and when I say fight, that means claim, just to declare that you will take control of your financial future, notwithstanding what society, what media, what other people might say to you, but to simply sit back and say, this is important for me and for my future to be able to do the things that I want to do in my life, with my life, what I'm called to do, to have that opportunity. And the only way to do it, I believe, and I've proven in my lifetime, is not through earnings alone. Earnings is a fuel. Making money is a fuel. And certainly we need to expand the base of income, and we need to expand our ability to earn the value in the marketplace. It's why I did that special training on accelerating wealth by getting paid your worth, which you can still get access to on the replay pages for this week. So if you haven't seen all the three free trainings, try and say that fast, you can go to moneymachinereplay.com to get access to it while they're up, and you can watch that. But the point is that, yes, we need the earnings. But what happens when we hyper focus on just making money without the the secondary focus or the parallel focus, if you will, on building assets or building a money machine, building wealth, we become imprisoned to this treadmill called earnings. Now, I get it. If we're just trying to pay bills, earnings becomes a priority. But at the same time, even though earnings is a priority, we still want to develop the wealth creation, the asset building, the money machine muscle by exercising. And even if it's $5, $10, $100 a month, and I don't care where we start. I care that we're in the money gym working out, that we're getting that in place, because we can go through example of people that have made money and have continued to make money, but they have nothing to show for it. And they're not free. And they don't have a life of choice. And they don't have a life of certainty. They're living check to check. I mean, we've got 46% of the folks making over six figures still living check to check. That's not an earnings problem. That is a money problem. That is a wealth problem. It's also a mindset problem and a method problem. And so when we talk about the idea and the ideals of creating a money machine, why it's so important, it's the only thing that was able to get me off the earnings treadmill so I could get agency of my time. It is the one thing that allowed me the opportunity to rebuild and change my relationship with my son, because I could be there by choice. Now, it wasn't easy. I was pushing a boulder uphill, both financially, but also culturally, because I came from an environment as an accountant where we were to swap hours for dollars. We were carving our time up in 6-minute increments to sell. Well, you only have so many 6-minute increments that you can sell. That is a challenge. And I realized that, and the only way that I found off of that treadmill was to build something that leveraged my time back. And that's going through the idea of the 5 incomes that we talked about in day 2 is to understand how the 5 incomes allow us the latitude and the flexibility to make a choice, to do things in a different way, and everything, to allow that to happen. And so I wanted to just start our time here with this conversation, because I think this is actually one of the most important conversations we can have. I don't care. I mean, I do care, but I don't care. This isn't about the money machine blueprint, although I think it's the solution. This is more about you, and more about, are you willing to make that most important decision, which really is, am I going to take control of my financial future? Because that's the most important decision. Because if we don't make that decision, then all the other decisions won't matter. Because when I make the decision that I'm going to take control of my future, and I'm going to be in the driver's seat, now we start to create and take the steps that are in alignment, that are consistent, and that are congruent with that declaration. Okay, not goal. I mean declaration. That when you declare that I will take control, now you take the steps. That means that you'll learn, you will read, you'll build your financial literacy. And you'll start to do the things. You know, I've had some people say, no, it's a priority for me. I said, are you putting money away? No. Then it's not a priority. Because I'm looking at their spending, I'm going, it's a desire, great. We have desires. But when we take that desire and turn it to a declaration, and we make that first decision that I'm going to take control of my financial future, then we can make better decisions. Your decision is just that, because then we can turn around and say, who do I need in my corner to help me out? What do I need to learn that I don't know? What's my first step that I need to take? Who can help me take that first step? who can support me on that journey and all of that stuff. Notice that what I'm talking about is more a question of who and not a question of what or how. Because when we get the right who, the how will show up. When we get the right why, the who will show up, because you'll find them. You'll search them out. And whether it's me or someone else, the key is that make the decision, you take control. Now let's make the next decision that moves you forward. And be dogmatic about it. Be diligent about it. You know, when it comes to publishing a book or doing something, you're going to get hit with a lot of no's. You're going to get hit with a lot of rejections. But if that's the path you've chosen to go on, you will stay on that path and keep growing until you can get through it. And so I hope you start to look at it through those eyes, because I do believe that we're in a, let's just say, a tender time from an economic standpoint that has both opportunity as well as possible consequences. And when we make that choice, we can choose the path that we want to go on. We have so many things shifting in our world from a geopolitical, and I don't get political at all. But when we talk about economics, when we talk about currencies, when we talk about the different asset classes, when we talk about access to investments like never before, when we talk about hackers and financial hackers and things like that, the idea of building wealth and protecting wealth and having some autonomy away from a system that could keep you trapped is huge. And that's, I think that's the bigger message as to why this is important, because then it puts decision and choice back in your lap, not in someone else's lap. And that's what I want, is that every day you get a chance to live by choice and desire and design and vision, and not by demands, bills, dictation, or any of that other stuff. And that's what I'm hoping for. All right, y'all. So that's my little opening soapbox, I guess. But I think it was really important for us to kind of set that frame. I want to be able to answer some questions, but I also have a few really special people, special guests that are going to join today, and I want to bring them up. I think I can bring them all up at the same time. Now, this is going to be scary because I've never done this before. And there's probably one in particular I have to be really careful about, because Lord knows what he will say. And now that I said it's the he, you will know the who when I bring it up. I'm going to bring all of them up with me here. And I'm going to go around the circle here for a moment and just have you really quickly introduce yourselves and say hello. You should all be unmuted, I think, and everything. But these are friends that have been on this journey. They've been where you are. Some of them are still where you are. But I wanted to bring them on to have a conversation about what they've seen, what they're doing, how things are in their world, and everything. So we're going to go around. I think we'll start with Teresa, because she's up on the upper, just on my screen. So, and we'll go Teresa, Jillian, and Mark. So, hi, Teresa. Good to have you here.
Hi, how are you? It's good to be here.
Oh, it's good to see you again.
Yes, it's good to see you. I'm so excited to see Bailey too.
Oh my God. Well, that only holds for so long.
I know.
So do me a favor, would each of you just let people know who you are, what you do, and before we just start firing questions and having conversations. So
Sure. So I am Teresa Cantley, and I am a business consultant, a business coach for founders, CEOs, and leadership. I primarily work in the hospitality industry, but I've also helped people in technology businesses and service-based businesses as well. So that's me.
That's you. And there's one thing I'm
that's
going to
me.
make, because she won't say it, but I'm going to. She's got a book that she has written. That is amazing.
Thank
But
you.
we got to get it published. So
Yes.
that's the key. The next step is the publisher for Teresa. So
Well, and when you were talking about when you're publishing a book, like you'll get a lot of rejections, and I'm like, oh my God, yes, you will, tons of it. But yes, my book is all about all of the experiences that I've had navigating dysfunctional cultures and bad leadership, and really what you need to do to be a good leader in this world and build a healthier business. So, but thank you. Yes, it's we're almost there with the publishing, almost there.
good.
So I'm excited about that.
Good. Keep me posted.
I
And
will. I
Julian?
will for sure. Thank you.
It's amazing. I aspire to be an author someday. I'm going to be like you guys when I grow up. So I'm Jill
Be
Rothie. I live
careful
in
what you
Denver,
wish
Colorado.
for. Teresa's.
I know, right?
It's a journey. You have to, and it's the same as like what Mel was talking about. You have to be willing to play the long game.
Yeah.
It's not it's, and the same thing is with building, building your wealth machine. You have to be willing to go on the journey and play the long game. If you think it's going to be a short sprint and things are going to happen automatically, no, like you have to be willing to just stay the course.
Yeah.
So
Noted. I will take the lesson. What was I say? What do you want to know? Jill Rothie. I currently live in Denver. I'm from all over, lived all over the planet, grew up in the Midwest. About me, I've got 3 kids, an amazing partner. They're 10, 8, and 6. And then vocationally, I am a recent corporate dropout, retiree. I haven't figured exactly how to claim that yet. Just left in February, and I've got 2 businesses that I'm running. One, I have a patent that was issued in the breastfeeding space. So I've got a breastfeeding product. And then accidentally started a second company doing fulfillment for other small product-based brands, because it's just super fun. And so both companies started on an accident, and it's been great.
Accidentally started a business.
Yes.
So good. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so good to see you. I appreciate it.
And then Mark is the one that I've known the longest and has known me the longest. He came to my very, very first live event. Mark Bailey, say hello.
Hello, you guys. And yeah, Mel never knows what's going to come out of my mouth. I never know what's going to come out of my mouth. So we'll see how this works. But yeah, Mel and I have known each other for a very long time. And from day one, he would give me heat, from coming in late to one of his programs, or we just had this kind of fun bond that we, created after that. And I've been following him professionally for a very long time, 10, 11 years. And also he's become a great friend, great mentor. And anyway, enough about that. I love being here, and I love what Mel has done. And I've got my build your money machine right here, and absolutely incredible. So what I do is I'm a coach, and I work with entrepreneurs, digital CEOs, and help them with leadership, performance, and growth, and one-on-one clients. And I've also worked with and been contracted by 8-figure brands, 4 or 5 of them since my career, and really enjoyed all of that, and being able to be here with you guys and experience with what Mel is doing is so amazing, and it's helped me in my life. So that's a little bit about me.
Cool. I have a special soundbite for you, man.
I'm a bad boy. You're a bad boy. Bad boy. I can see that from the cartoon. Isn't that like the Droopy the dog?
Oh yeah, yeah. All right. So let me. I want to ask a few questions. One is just to level set where you started. Not necessarily giving numbers if you don't want, but really understanding when you came to this. What was the catalyst that said, "Wait a second, I got to put my hands on the wheel, take control of my financial future once and for all." And I don't have to go in any order. That you just said, "Hey, this is the thing that made me finally say I got to take control." So anyone that wants to speak to that, we
I can go first.
All right, Mark.
I don't know how many years ago this was, but it was probably at least 12 years ago. Mel, you'll remember this. And so I had 2 LLCs. And one of them was for my business. And then I also put my condo under an LLC as well. And in that moment, I didn't quite understand the laws of LLCs because this is when I was in California, but you have to pay them. I think it was like $800
Yeah, it was
a year.
$800.
Yeah, $800 a year for an LLC. I thought since the LLC was under my condo that wasn't like a business or anything like that. So I didn't realize that you still had to pay your $800, on that. So let's just enter in Mel 12 years later. I get some pretty nasty forms in the mail from the IRS and basically saying
From the Franchise Tax Board.
yeah, sorry, the Franchise Tax
The
Board.
state of California charges you $800 minimum tax for the privilege of doing business here.
Yeah. And so anyway, long story short, for me not paying for that thing turned into like, what was it, Mel, like $15,000 or something like that?
They wanted $15,000 because what they did is they took all the $800 for all those years and then added interest and penalties and all kinds of stuff on it.
Yeah, and I got all sorts of nasty, letters and all this kind of stuff. And this was also at the same time that I was going through a short sale, during that time. And, they were like, we're going to sue you. And I'm like, you can't sue anybody that's got nothing, and it's like, so anyway, I reached out to Mel and I'm like, Mel, like I was freaking out. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is a lot of money. And so, anyway, he was able to step in with all of his amazing, knowledge and of the business and his savviness. And we were able to settle for $1,000, and it was completely exonerated. Nothing, nothing there after that. And it was in that moment that I was just thinking, like, first off, the Franchise Tax Board is legit. You don't mess with them.
No.
And I started to really wake up and really start to really think about how important it is to really pay attention to your money and pay attention to your business, and do things the right way. And I really appreciate Mel for that guidance and that knowledge.
Sweet. Thank you, man. It's good we got you out of it. So
yeah, it so was.
Yeah. Jill or
I'll go
Teresa?
next.
Go ahead, Teresa.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll finish. No, go ahead, Teresa.
So I had been working with Mel for a while. I met him at an event and then ended up, Mel has been my mentor for, oh my God, years, long time, 8 years, I think. And so I had a business in 2016 or 2008. I started my first business and was a retail store, and started my consulting business in 2015. 2016, my business partner and my husband were diagnosed with cancer. So I shut down my first business, kept going with the consulting, and I was just running, not realizing I was building up so much debt, and our personal debt was increasing. My husband had recovered, my business partner recovered, and then my husband was diagnosed again. And after the second time, and I mean, I had been building multi-million-dollar businesses for people, helping them fix things, helping them dig into their financials and understand them, but I was ignoring my own. And I was ignoring my own in my business and wasn't really paying attention. It was just investing in all this stuff. And just, again, I was just off and running and not really paying attention. And he also wasn't being honest with me about our personal finances. So along the way, incurring tens of thousands of dollars in debt, credit card debt. We come home. I brought my husband home after the second diagnosis with cancer, and he had just come home from, he had surgery, brought him home from radiation, and we're opening up our bills and have this huge, all these bills, and we couldn't figure out how we were going to pay them. And I was like, and then all of a sudden it became very real about what our net worth was, what our debt was, what was really happening. And it was like, how am I going to fix this? Because I am just running myself ragged. I was burning the candle at both ends, helping people build their businesses while mine was falling apart. And it came to, I felt like my personal life was falling apart because here my husband's sick. And my business partner had gotten sick again at the same time. Her cancer came back. So it was like I felt like I was underneath like a rock and I just could not get out. And I remember at the same time talking to Mel and kind of saying, okay, I don't know what to do. Here's our situation. And we really started to lay out a plan to pay off the debt. To really, I think the first part was the clarity of this is the situation. Here's our net worth. I mean, as an entrepreneur, for years, I stopped contributing to my IRA. I had an IRA set up. I stopped contributing to it. So it was like, what do
You
we
were on that
do?
earnings treadmill that I was talking about.
I was. I was.
Yeah.
So it was like really getting clear as to where we are from a debt perspective. And it was big, it was huge. And I really had to lean into faith and say, we can figure this out. Really like, okay, where was the retirement at and what do we need to do with that? And not like it was time that I needed to take care of me and my business so I could take care of other people. So we ended up paying off all of our credit card debt, completely
Right.
flipped around our net income, set things up so that, we had an emergency fund that we've built up over the years so that and my husband ended up with a third round of cancer. But when he went through that, we had been set up. Like we were set up, we had that emergency plan. We could turn off the machine and or turn it on when we needed it. And it was funny because after I had the initial conversation with Mel, where it was like, I just broke down and said, we're a mess. Like, I don't know what to do. And it was just funny because we had an Aflac plan. Aflac came through and ended up giving us $10,000 towards medical bills, which like was a blessing. But again, like having that really saying, okay, this is going to be a long game and we're going to have to make some changes, lifestyle changes. We're going to have to, have not just a plan in place for our personal finances, but also having a plan in place for my business finances. And, really, honestly, there was a portion of it, the things that I was teaching, I actually needed to really pay attention to. And we completely ended up turning around our financial plan. And it's having that weight off of our shoulders to say, hey, and
Huge.
also just for me, the clarity of like I understand things and I
Yeah.
understand them more than I thought I did. And the clarity and also just like my husband wasn't hiding the personal stuff from me anymore.
Yeah.
Like and from the business side of it, it was okay, like here's really what's working and here's what I need to do moving forward. So again, it was a complete flip around. And like I said, when he got sick again, and he's good, everything's good. But we didn't worry because we had that peace of mind, which I
So
can
good.
say having peace of mind is priceless.
Yeah.
So
So good. So good. All right, Jillian. She's our
So
recent
yeah,
corporate escapee.
escapee. I think I like that one the most. Yeah. So I think maybe my relationship with money and all that kind of stuff started young. I was raised by a CPA. I've got an engineering degree, right? So numbers, I'm exceptionally average at doing the numbers in my head piece of it. So I've always been okay at that. Um, but I made the life choice to date a spender for a while in college and graduated university with over six figures in debt for a lot of reasons. But I went through the Dave Ramsey exercise, right, of digging out of that hole, and I paid off all of that within 6 years after graduating. So I was debt free from the college thing by the end of my 20s. And in that, I also started working with an investment guy that I think it may be similar, not quite as a hard hit as yours, Mel, but took me for a ride on a bunch of cash. I'm like, where the hell did my money go? And so I think that was the catalyst for me of like having to be more engaged and having to understand it and just knowing the nuance of where my money's
Yeah.
going and what it's doing. Um, and then my partner and I, we've been together 17 years. We had the good fortune of living in Singapore for 4 years. And so we were able to bank just a pile of cash, a portion of the paycheck, and we got to experience what life is like when, you know, you have corporate paying for the basics, but then you have this other piece on top of it. And so I think we got a glimpse into what this could look like when you have enough cash to do the things and to experience life the way you want to experience it. And so I think that was the bug that we caught while we were there. And so to couple that with having time on our side, that we did that in our early 30s. I'm 40, terrific now. You know, so it started to pile up, and I think that's been just kind of a very cool natural progression on that. But then the piece that really probably springboarded it, and I mean, I've started both my businesses on accident. When I first started Milkworks, I think I made $1,300 the first year 7 years ago, right? Like it wasn't some multi-million-dollar thing. It was just like, oh, on the side, it's fun. Let me see if this can actually make some money and pay for a vacation. And I grew that to 6 figures a couple years ago. And that's, I think, when I realized that, oh, I can actually, like, this can actually be a real option. And so I think about 2.5 years ago, is when my brain started thinking that, like, oh, I don't have to be a corporate employee for the rest of my life. I don't have to trade time for money like everybody else I know for the rest of my life. And so that's probably when I started thinking about that. And I met you, what was it, last May, like 1.5 years ago?
Yeah, not that long ago.
And yeah, your story hit me really hard, because my mom had been diagnosed with cancer. I had been diagnosed with some of my own stuff that I was like actively going through. And it was like, oh crap, this could change its mind. Any given MRI, I could get some bad news.
Yeah.
And I think that was the piece where I'm like, okay, I need to be absolutely intentional with this. And you helped me work through in the past year of like, okay, how much do we have to have in savings here? And therefore the money over here looks like that. And so that I wanted to leave corporate, but I didn't leave on my own terms. We'll just say that. So when I got the message in January that said, by the way, we don't need you anymore, it was a fascinating contrast to see all my corporate friends saying, take the demotion, fear, you know, just stay, just keep the paycheck. And to see all my entrepreneurial friends going, sweet, let's go actually do something now. And I don't, there were other words in there that I don't think you could say in a public forum, but it was a really cool contrast to see the difference in energy between the two. And so now, since I've left since February, you know, actually getting to use that emergency fund, like the way that it was intended to be used, to buy the time to be able to do the thing, we're actively living it. And it's not comfortable. Like I can definitely see the end of the runway of like, okay, if this doesn't change soon, this is going to get really gross. But I haven't wanted to go back, and just the energy freedom of that, of having this pile of cash that has its purpose and it's doing exactly what it was supposed to do.
So good.
Has been a really, really, really cool place to be.
So cool. And they're different stories, different time frames, different things. And I wanted to bring this to everyone because I think it's really important to realize that the journeys may be different. The destination is similar, but the pathway is just a process. And that when we understand that, we can work the process. Curious, what's the one thing that maybe, and I don't know. Now, y'all, I've not prepared them with any questions. So they're getting this out of left field. And so I'm putting them all on the spot because I just think it's more fun that way. At least it's more fun for me, maybe not for them. But what's the one thing financially right now that still stresses you out?
I can say one. I'll say I'm in that sandwich generation where I'm watching, I've got to raise kids and all the things, you know, I got to pay for soccer practice, but at the same time I'm watching aging parents that maybe didn't have enough of it built up. That's like, oh crap, how much am I supposed to save for that? On top of it, and just trying to balance all the different, for me, balancing all the different strings that are going to potentially pull on it. It's hard.
It's a big deal with healthcare costs where they're at. You know, I look at what happened with my mom. Mark had a situation with his dad and everything. I mean, the cost for my mom's care, when I added it all up during the 6.5 years that she was on dialysis, was over $850,000. You know, it's a lot. And if you have if you're getting it from both ends, and then add to it, like I had a conversation with someone recently who the parent doesn't want to talk about it. So now you're stuck as the child trying to figure this thing out, not because you're greedy and want the money, but because you care and want it the best for them. And there was a point in time where, with my mom, because I started to just kind of control the financial, I negotiated everything, and my wife dealt with the medical side. I dealt with the financial side, but there was a point in time where I just didn't tell her because she would stress out. And I would joke around with her. She would say, "Do I have enough money?" I said, "They're evicting you next week." And she's go, "What? Like, this is probably not a smart thing to do to an 89, 90-year-old woman." But, I said, "You're fine. You're fine." So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Mark, Teresa?
I think for me, I mean, I think in the back of my mind, like, um, I would say, just making sure that we're constantly like putting money into the retirement.
Yeah.
I think, my husband is getting to the point where, debating whether or not he wants to retire. And I think that just having enough money in retirement, considering with costs increasing and just the way that the economy is, I think that's definitely one of the stressors for me. For sure is thinking about just having that money put away and making sure that it's invested correctly. And with all the fluctuations and the things that we've had with the market, my husband's always like, stop looking at it. Just stop looking at your account, because I start to like panic and freak out. So I think that's definitely one of the things. And then just keeping debt under control.
Yeah, this is the debt under control is huge, because that's the thing, especially as we start to get up in years. We don't need that destructive debt. It's going to erode everything. But that big thing of how much is enough, I was reading a study, and number 4 of the biggest fears that people have was running out of money. And this is why it's so important to do what I call dynamic plans, where you're scenario testing the plan, where you put a financial plan in place and you start asking yourself things like, well, if I retire 3 years early, what happens? If inflation goes up 2%, what happens? If I work a little longer, what happens? If medical goes up, and you start changing and playing these what if scenarios. So what it does is it spits out a score of the probability of success. In other words, the probability of not running out of money. And we're looking to try and see a consistent score, 80% or above, that allows you the latitude to go, I've tested this and beat this thing up 100 different ways. Literally, it's 1,000 ways, because it's a Monte Carlo simulation that you do, that you sit back and go, in 1,000 different scenarios, including worst case and all that stuff, I still am okay. Now, then you have to trust the process, the system, and everything. Anything can happen, but that's the reason it's so important to do dynamic planning and scenario testing and what we call stress testing the plan. So it helps, because I'm 64. We're stress testing the plan constantly, and making sure that wherever it's at, no matter what the market's doing, are we still fine? Are we still fine? And that's why we also build a margin for what I call margin. Someone will say margin for error. I say it's a margin for volatility. So if the market drops 10% or 20%, are we good? Okay, we're good. Then I'm not going to sweat it. Okay. And there are things you can do with that, but I think it's a big one too. Mark?
Yeah, that was great, Mel. Thank you for sharing that view on there. Yeah, I think for me, the challenge is always looking at, like, I'm such a creator and I love creating, and Mel knows this, and And sometimes there's a little bit too much creation happening, and not enough of the action side of it. I proved it to myself one day when I was having some chats with Chat GPT, and I was putting them all in one section in a PDF. And I'm like, I wonder if I were to print this out, like how many pages this would be, just out of curiosity. And I looked it up. It was 150 pages. I mean, it was damn good stuff, but I'm like, am I ever going to utilize all of that?
We
And so,
we need to get you a different friend group than ChatGPT.
my goodness, so Chat, he loves me. Anyway, so the reason why I'm sharing that is looking about the difference between, the income and the impact, and really knowing that I really love to serve, and making sure that that impact is what is done first, because I experienced one of the same things that Mel did. I got involved in a Ponzi scheme, and I lost a lot of money. I lost my parents a lot of money, and I felt so like embarrassed, that even happened. And so I ended up paying back my parents, but it took me 4 years. And I literally wouldn't go on vacation. I wouldn't do anything, not buy a new car, nothing, because I knew that I just compromised my parents, safety and what they had in the bank. And so going back to the impact is making that the number one reason. And I can't make any impact if I'm not getting anything out there instead of creating, and which I love to do. And so there is that fine line between creating that action, immediately, and also knowing that it's going to help in that long term.
Yeah.
And the other thing that Mel really helped sort me out too is, instead of waiting for these cash injections that you then put into your savings, it's just kind of like, the dollar cost averaging that sometimes he's talked about. You just keep putting in a little bit at a time, and before you know it, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And I work best with something like that, because it doesn't feel like it's such a big chunk, and then all of a sudden that's gone.
Yeah.
And then I'm eating top ramen for the next 6 weeks because I don't want to spend anything. So
So cool. All right. Maybe one final question, and then because you guys have been gracious and great giving us your time. Maybe it's a 1.5 final question. One is, what's probably the greatest aha that you've had on your financial journey? And what would you say to someone who's starting out, trying to figure it out on it? So I'll go to anyone.
Well, I'll start, even though I was the last person to talk. I think restate the question again real quick.
The greatest aha that you've had on your financial journey, and then what might you say to someone that might be thinking, I got to take control of things, and maybe there's fear, there's trepidation, there's uncertainty around it.
Yeah. I think it's going to go along with a little bit of what I said, but Mel and I had a really fun conversation where he was talking about our money and our dollars being, our little employees. And it's really fun to think about that, because you're putting them to work, and it's fun to be able to feed that. And you could do it a little bit at a time, because I remember when I was a kid, my parents would give us $1, for candy. And so I had to figure out what that was. And I could tell my money story started then, because I was all about quantity with that dollar. What was I going to buy? And it was usually the grossest tasting stuff, like those stupid Smarties, that were all like powdery, that taste like children's Tylenol. You know what I'm talking about?
I do, but I love the Smarties. So,
oh gosh, I don't know. But I'm like, I just have to get more, right? And so it took a long time for me to understand the quality of something. And so the quality of the investment, the quality of my time, the quality of my impact has been really important for me to learn and understand that is what comes first. Yeah. Because there can be no income without that impact. And I think that's really changed the way I do things. And also knowing, with conversations with Mel, is that I can't make any impact if I don't get anything out there. Yeah. So I want to leave with that.
Cool. All right. Teresa or Jillian?
I can give you one. Somewhere in the very proud lesson I've learned. My 8-year-old had to file a tax return last year, which I think is amazing.
We got a
And he
money
also,
machine maniac in the making right there.
and so it's like looking at the stark contrast of like, I'd say I'm probably like average to above average, right? Being raised by a CPA, you're naturally going to understand the mechanics of investing in finance and time value of money and that kind of stuff. So I feel very fortunate in that, but to be able to make it very, very different for him and to see him do that is fantastic. And so my lesson in that, like probably coupled with the Singapore thing, is like um the best time to start with it, like the time side of it, the best time to start is yesterday. And if you didn't start yesterday, you should start today, type of thing.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of people that say things like, oh, I don't understand it, or I don't know how this works. Or like it comes from a place of like ignorance. I haven't learned it yet, but if my 8-year-old can learn it, you can learn it, right? And so when we talk to him about investing, it's like, wow, so you give your money to people and they give you more back. Like it doesn't have to be complex,
Yeah.
right? But like the fundamental principle, I want to make sure he has it there. And so being able to talk about it and learn it, you're not going to learn it if you don't talk about it. And so to have examples like last night at soccer practice where one of the other parents was like, wait, you invested what? And how does that work? Like find friends that want to talk about it. And
Yeah.
if you don't have friends that want to talk about it, be the friend that wants to talk about it. Because I think there's so much taboo around talking about money. And I don't think we're going to learn it if we don't talk about it.
You can't.
Um,
It's impossible.
yeah.
It's like
So
saying you're
trying
going to
to bring
ride,
that
you're going to learn to ride a bike by reading a book.
watching the Tour de France, like
Yeah.
it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just start early and talk about it often. And it doesn't have to be as complex as it maybe probably feels, right? There's a lot of acronyms and letters that you throw around, right? Your 401k this and you're matching that and your IRA this versus your Roth IRA that. And like it just like there's a whole bunch of letters and numbers that might sound confusing, but it's really not if you just kind of start with something. Start with
Yeah.
something that feels comfortable and then move on to the next one when you're ready for it.
I love that.
So
And that's the thing. That's why I did the glossary of terms. That's why it's just to simplify it, because the only people it serves to make it complex is the financial services industry. So if we as the consumer, and I'm a CPA, but the CPA education taught me how to count the money, didn't teach me how to master the money. I had to do that on my own. And so we as the consumer are the consumers of it. We need to understand it. So it needs to be put in our terms, not needing a finance degree or an advanced degree or anything like that,
right.
in a way that we can implement it.
And when we sit with our financial advisor, like say your financial advisor, your doctor, your whomever
Yeah.
is like apparently has the degree in the thing, ask them to dumb it down. No, explain that to me like I'm a
Yeah.
6-year-old. Like ChatGPT can do it, so can your financial advisor.
The-
Like explain this to me like I'm 12.
I totally agree. If you have an advisor, their first job, their primary role is education. It's not investing. It's not even planning. It's education. So they're empowering you to help with the process to make the right decisions for you.
Mhm. Yep.
So,
Yep. And we pressure test that with them all the time. If they're like, okay, we're going to move this over here. Why?
yeah.
Why wouldn't we do that? And make sure you understand it and make sure you're on board with it. It shouldn't be a blind take my money and do something with it.
Yeah, you respectfully challenge. And
Mhm.
my team, they'll do that with me, and I'm always doing it with them. And that's the relationship I want. And we're constant. And like I sent an email to my team over the weekend because I'm late on doing my taxes.
Me too. It's okay.
And so I sent an email just to get it out of the system, because I knew I had a crazy week this week, thinking that they'll respond this week. I got a text from them on Sunday. Dude, why are you texting me on Sunday? I got the email. All right. So we had a conversation on Sunday, so that's the kind of relationship you want with anyone that's advising you, or in your corner. So cool. Teresa.
Yeah, I wrote some notes down. So I think for me, I think my biggest aha, because I remember having the conversation with you, and I was just like so embarrassed about the situation that I was in. And I remember you saying to me, Teresa, your worth is not determined by your net worth. and you know, these things like your internal worth. And I remember, like, I just remember, like, I always valued myself um based on what was in the bank account or based on the money part. And I remember that was the first time that I was like, okay, I got to crack this open. And you said, you know, don't be embarrassed. It's okay.
Yeah.
The first part is to have the clarity as far as where your situation is. And the only thing that's going to determine your worth is who you are inside. And you know who you are. So now we need to build this machine and make your money work for you. And also, like, again, be clear on and have that clarity around, you know, what you need to do next, the steps that you need to take next. And don't be embarrassed by it. Don't run from it. You got to just lean right into it. And I remember crying, and you were like,
Yeah.
it's okay. Like, we're going to fix this. We're going to build a plan. And as long as you have the plan and you work the plan and you make the plan work for you, everything's going to be good. And I think the other thing that you also said to me and that we talked about over the years is just living into the legacy that you
Yeah.
want to create, which is who you are, and the life that you really want to live, the experiences that you want to have. And that was something that I never thought about it from what is the vision that you have for your life? Where do you want to travel to? What do you want to do? What do you want to build? And start there and then build the plan to support that. And I think that was I was just so into the work that I
Yeah.
didn't see above the fort or whatever the term is, you know? So I think those were definitely my aha moments. And I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. You have to be willing to play the long game. And I'm not good about that. Like, patience is not
Patients like that.
one of my best things. I have patience like this. I want like instant results. I didn't come from money. My parents always struggled. I mean, my husband didn't come from money either. So it was kind of like I always had this thought of, well, I'm just always going to struggle. And I think this was the first, like, going through the working with you and going through the program really gave me a completely different perspective as far as like what's possible.
So
So
cool. So good. Listen, all three of you, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being on the journey, being an example of what's possible. I know that we're just started this journey. We got so much more to go. But I want to let you know that I am so appreciative and to have been a little part of your journey here, and that I get a chance to see you grow and thrive in the process. And I can't wait to see where you are in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months from today, and that we keep this game going. All right. So I'm gonna let you all go, and then I'm gonna open it up to questions from the house. You guys can stick around and everything, but I'm gonna let you all go, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here and sharing so openly.
Same to you, Mel.
Thank you, Mel.
See you guys.
Absolute pleasure.
thank you, Mel.
All right, y'all. Those are some special people. We've got plenty of them, but I just wanted to bring a few on and everything. But at the same time, wanted to have a conversation and then open it up for questions, so I can help you answer questions. I've got some questions. If they come in on the comments from YouTube and all that stuff, and I can respond to those questions also. But if you have a question, let me know, and let's now it's question time. We'll make it happen. I'm just looking for the question box. It just disappeared on me. So if you have a question, put a Q in and the question, I'll go through it. I'm trying to find the question box because there was a question that came in. Here it is. No, that's not it. All right, I know another way to get it. Because it was something that came in on YouTube. Let me pull the comment box up. Here we go. There it is. So the question was, okay, this is from Marco, he's always on my lives. Great to have. So how do you guys deal with heavy market crashes, mostly emotionally? I'm going to tell you, about me with it. One, the first thing, we know that the market will crash. It will go down. That is part of the cycle of the market, of the economy, of the stock market. The key is that when we're in the market is to realize that you have 3 buckets of time that you look at your investing through. This is short term, this is midterm, and this is long term. Okay, the long term money is literally maybe 8 years, but usually 10 years or more. But let's say 8 years plus. Okay, most of this is going to be invested in the market called equities, or other things, because we know that in the short term the market goes up and down, but in the long term the market's going up. So we give it the time to grow. And what happens is that if you look at the data, the market goes up 8 out of 10 years. That means it's down in 2 years. If you look at the data, a bear market, which is a market that dropped 20% from the high, lasts about 11 months on average, whereas a bull market, which is 20% up from the low, lasts multiple years. Okay, the average drop in a bear market is about 30-some%. The average increase in a bull market is 150%. So just that knowledge alone, saying, if I can stay the course, I'm good. That means the long-term bucket needs to be the patient money. And allowing us to stay the course. Knowing that doesn't get you to get those emotions sucked into this dialogue or this discussion by doing that. Now, let's go to this, the short-term money. This has to be safe. This is the stuff that we're going to need in less than 5 years, okay? So this is the stuff that you're going to put into a high-yield savings account. You're going to put it in CDs. You're going to put it in some sort of treasuries or a ladder of some sort. Bottom line is, it needs to be liquid. It needs to be safe, so it's not exposed to the ups and downs of the market. And it needs to be without fees. And so you have a portion of that. This becomes your peace of mind fund. This becomes a sinking fund if you have, let's say you're saving for a wedding or something like that in a couple of months will come into play. Those kinds of things. So that's the liquid money that you need safe. So that should not go up and down with the market. So I know that I'm okay. That's one of the reasons when Jillian was talking about taking control or having that emergency fund there to help. The purpose of this is to not create wealth, but protect wealth in doing that. Then the this is more of a balanced kind of thing. So you're going to have a little different. This may be more aggressively invested. This is more balanced in the sense that this is what's going to be the bridge between long-term and short-term. So this will have a combination. Now, the overall picture, when you start to look at this becomes your asset allocation and diversification. That becomes the portfolio structure. Meaning that if we have the right portfolio structure, we should be comfortable to know that I have liquidity in place. I have my debt dialed in. I have the liquidity in place to protect me in the short term. I have the assets in place that will grow in the long term. And that I just need to make sure that those buckets are properly funded so I don't get in a situation where market drops 20%. Oh no, I need to grab some money to go. I was going to do the down payment and I can't do the down payment now. And now I'm in trouble. So that's the thing that I would look at is what keeps me from getting emotionally caught up in market volatility, let's just call it, is the knowledge of what markets do, the financial literacy, and 2, the structure of the portfolio to know that it's built for the markets up and down and sideways. So hopefully that helps, Marco. Another question that came in. What was it? So Lubna, this was also on YouTube, and I will come back to your questions here. I'm zero in debt, own stocks and crypto. I want to buy my first house, even I know it's better to stay invested in the market. Should I buy it or wait? I don't necessarily have the answer to this because I don't know your full situation and I don't know where you want to buy it. There's a couple of things I think you need to realize. When we're buying a house, it is a long-term decision. There's friction to get into the house, selling costs, buying costs. There's maintenance costs. There's friction to get out of the house. If you're not going to be in the house for more than 7 years, it probably will not pencil out from a financial standpoint. Now, that doesn't mean you don't buy a house. That means that understand if you're buying a house, it might be a lifestyle asset and not an investment asset. Like our house here is a lifestyle asset. It's not an investment asset. It's tied up value that doesn't earn any cash flow, but it gives us the lifestyle we want. And there's a cost to it. Now, I just recently, a few weeks ago, released an episode on my show that talks about buying a home and the American dream. And I literally walk through the calculations and give you access to a home buy calculator. So what I would suggest you do is go to that episode, watch the episode, download the calculator, start to do the things that might do the calculations to see what might make sense for you in that capacity. Okay. So that should help. Now, Pamela says a lot of financial info is related to the US. How does that translate to Europe? This is such a good question. Two things. One, financial principles, wealth principles, and investing principles are universal. It doesn't matter whether you're in Turkey, it doesn't matter whether you're in UK, US, Canada, Australia, it doesn't matter, okay? And it's why I try to teach that 90% of what I teach is principle-based, so it becomes universal and transferable from place to place. The only thing that you need to look at that is different is, one, the type of account structure that you can get, the legal account structure that you can get in that country. Okay, so if we talk about an LLC or corporation here, or we talk about an IRA account here or a Roth account here, what is the mirror image that is available in the UK? Now, I created a document that has the account structures broken down from US to Canada to UK to Australia as part of the new program to help with that. Now, that's the first piece, is the account structure. The second piece is the investment access, okay? Some countries don't have the same access to the kinds of investments that you might have in the US, but they have access to something similar. You know, can you get into a discount broker? Can you get into a robo-advisor? Can you do it yourself? There's different avenues to get access to the investments. Are you required to pay fees? And so that's why I created the second document, which is the investment access guide across the same countries, to help you understand that when we talk about investments or accounts, those are the two things that are different, and then a little bit in the legal structuring that are different between country to country. But all the other stuff that comes into, like the wealth priority ladder and the priorities of income and the structure and the principles, those are universal. Time value of money is universal. Now, what also will change is the economy and the economic impact of that, in the sense of are we in a recession? Are we in a boom or a bust? Are we in a do we have inflation? All those things will have an impact, but those are more finance principle, economic principles that become universal across the way. And so there's a tremendous amount of parallels, but there are some nuanced differences that you need to think about. Okay. UK, and the UK is probably one of the closest, most developed element of it versus other countries. Okay. Similar to the US. Okay. Okay. So this question just came in. This is more of a specific investment question, so I won't give direct advice here. Or Oromac asked, what is my opinion on a two-fund portfolio consisting of, it's two Schwab accounts, two Schwab funds versus buying the S&P 500? So here's let's just talk about what we're talking about here. The two fund portfolio, and when we talk about portfolios, that's one of the reasons I have the Profiles of Prosperity portfolio guide that's part of the program, is I break it down for you. What's a two fund portfolio? What's a three fund portfolio? What's a four fund portfolio? What's it made up of? What can you invest in as a sample? Here's the purpose of it, is your investing should be simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be complex. It doesn't need to be esoteric. Simple, simple, simple. Okay. So if all you had to do is invest in 2, 3, or 4 investments and let it build, that makes it easy. And we take the barriers away. And so generally speaking, I don't mind a two-fund portfolio for the right person at the right level. At some point, because a two-fund portfolio, and I don't know, let me really quickly look at this real quick, so I informed as to what it is, because I don't have it off the top of my head. But let's just do, he said, G. Oops. G. It's not, oh, I'm trying to put it here, but it's not. So let's see, SCG. Okay, so that's large cap growth. And you had also in here D. Okay, dividend equity. All right, so these are two funds, both Schwab. One's a dividend fund, ETF. One is a large cap growth fund. Both are probably decent funds. I'm not a big person that does a lot of dividend investments directly. I make a lot of money on dividends by virtue of investing in large companies to begin with. Depending on your situation, are we investing in a dividend ETF for purposes of cash flow? If you're older, maybe that's why we do it. Versus a traditional two-fund portfolio would probably be a large company stock or a S&P 500 or a total stock market fund paired with maybe a small portion of a bond fund. If you did a 3-fund portfolio, you might add an international fund in there. But the point is that we're making simple decisions to create a portfolio that makes sense. The concept of a 2-fund portfolio I love. 2, 3, 4 funds. The simplicity is what I love. The right investment mix is the important thing based on age, stage, and circumstances. And I can't give that to you because I don't know all your circumstances, but hopefully that helped answer that question. Good question. Other questions on this? Let me see if I'm missing anything here. Vital asks, what if I'm 62, no debt, 35K in cash? Is this the right thing for me? Here's what I would do with this. I want to know more about it because I'm not here to sell you into anything. I want to know more about your situation, Vital Big Russ. If you go to the registration page, which is joinmmBnow.com, you can see it right there. Down in the bottom right is a little clickable video of me. And when you're in that bottom right corner, click that video, send me a note, send me a video, an audio, or text, and let me dialogue with you a bit so I understand more your situation and see if that makes sense for you. And I'd love to kind of help you navigate that, okay? Because there's some more information that I want to have, and we'll make sure that I can guide you properly, okay? RMX says, thanks. I'm 25, so I don't want any bond exposure, but wanted some form of safety to balance growth. And so the dividend fund felt right. All right, cool. 25 years old. Dude, you have so much time ahead of you. That time is on your side. I get that you you want some safety with respect to growth. But what you have large cap growth where you could put other things into it that have a little more growth exposure. Because here's what one of the issues with I have with dividends. So I make investing based on total returns. So your return in a stock or anything is based on two things. Whoops. So your return is based on two things. The dividends, meaning the cash that they pay you, dividend yield it's called. So how much in dividends are they paying you every year? So that's part of the return. Plus the growth in the stock price. So if I have a stock that's $100 and it goes up to $110, okay, the growth part of this is $10, okay? But this stock pays a 4% dividend, okay? So then the total return is $14. That's what I'm looking at. Now, what this is, when a company pays dividends, what they're basically saying is to the world is we have profits, we made money. And so they have a choice with that money. The choice with that money is to either reinvest it in further growth in the company or invest a portion and pay a portion out to the shareholders to say, thank you for being a shareholder in our company. The problem with some of it is that too often, if they're focused on paying it all out to the shareholders, if they're paying their dividend payout percentage is too high, what they're not doing is innovating and investing in their growth, and then they become stagnant. So I'm careful about direct dividend investing without a company that is, especially with companies that I think may be taking away from their profits and not innovating for growth. So that's the only thing I would be really careful of. But at 25 years old, there's very few things that you can do that would absolutely destroy you because you have time to recover. Every dollar you put away at 25 years old is going to go up, 70 times. So have at it. You're good. Keep playing the game. That you'll end up like my son and his wife. So good on you, man. Let's see if there's other questions. Any other questions before we close this out? Anyone? Cool. I think we got it. Listen, if questions come in or you have questions, do me a favor. 2 places to go. One is on the registration page, which I put up here before in that bottom right corner. That comes straight to me. I get a chance to answer you directly. There's a number of you that I've had conversations with in doing it and making that happen. The other place to do it is in the Facebook group to post a question there, or even DM me. But let's get your questions answered. Let's make sure that you are taking control of your financial future no matter what goes on and everything. And I'll be around. I'll be live again, and we'll keep on rocking and rolling. The doors for Money Machine Blueprint are open until Thursday, so we've got a little more than 48 hours left. All right. What was the name of the author lady who oh, that was Teresa Cantley. Teresa Cantley. Yep. So cool. All right, y'all. You have an amazing, amazing day. I can't wait to hear from you, talk with you more, and be there to support you on this journey. Let me know if you need anything. I'm here, and let's keep having fun. All right. Rock and roll. See you soon. Cheers.